Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, bringing you another Marksman Hunter. It's going to be 7.2 discussion video for the latest patch of World of Warcraft, Legion. And I'm going to try to do a little bit of voiceover work, if you want to call it that, instead of the normal way I do my videos. So in the background, you're going to be seeing me run Heroic Cathedral. It really wasn't hard. You're going to see that my group didn't really know what was going on, and really I didn't either. But hopefully that doesn't distract you too much. So in this video, I just wanted to kind of discuss about some of the new changes to Marksman, which they were very little. Uh, I mean, Hunters in general didn't get touched hardly at all in 7.2. I originally was going to make a video, talking about different patch notes because I've been pretty much in the dark, with the latest patch because I've been really busy with work and such. But there was actually only one change to Hunter's lol, which were Beast Mastery, so I didn't even bother reading them because I only play Marksman Hunter. So I guess that checks that off the list now. So I did want to talk about going from your 54 traits to going back and getting that reverted back and such. So after you do all the quests in the Broken Shore, it takes right around like maybe an hour at most. Allows you to start unlocking your new talents, which will be it's a circle in the left most top corner of your screen. And if you have 54 traits like I did, you should get at least 4 points. To actually, I know you will. You'll get 4 points. You'll put one in your plus 10% damage, plus 10% stamina, which kind of makes up for those Paragon levels we lost. And then you'll also have 3 points to put in your unerring arrows of effectiveness, or unerring arrows, excuse me. It gives you a lot better effectiveness with your vulnerability, which I noticed prior to making the video, it was actually 10% per level or per rank. So I have all 4 ranks, 404, and they actually nerfed that. I didn't see it in any patch notes, or anything like that. But it was 10%, so I'm going up to 40. So the base vulnerability damage would have been 140%. Well, I noticed that they changed that, so now it's only 16%. Because yeah, I was seeing some amazing crits on Tuesday whenever this came out. I was critting for like 5 million if I kind of got lucky and had a few points with my legendary belt. So they probably backed that off for a good reason. But I'm really enjoying seeing a lot bigger crits because normally whenever I would crit, I would get, a nice crit would be like 1.2 million, where I'm seeing crits of over 2 million now, and that's without my belt on. So that's a lot better burst damage, especially on like Bloods, for example, on Tichondrius, or the Scorpy Bros from Scorpyron, the little guys. So hopefully we'll be getting more points in that. The next point for me is going to be like the 50% dodge when I'm using Cheetah, and then finally the last one will be the wake of the arrow that we use for my wind burst will do damage in that little bit of space, or in the path of it, and that'll take some getting used to, especially considering it's going to be all placement based. So you want to make sure and probably stay away from the boss as far as possible. That way you have a bigger patch that you would leave on the ground there. You'll see throughout this video that there is new attack animations. One thing that took me a while to get used to is the multi-shot, because it's just going to spray. It's going to look the same whether how many targets it hits or not. And I'm going to talk about my Nighthold rating numbers from Heroic on Wednesday. And I didn't do well on Scorpyron, primarily for that reason, where I thought it was hitting everything while I wasn't close enough, and it wasn't hitting everything, even though I thought it was. So it's something you have to get used to. There's a new arcane shot. As you can see, I just used it. It's very bright. The aim shot is pretty much looks like the old power shot that we had. It's like a nice big arrow that shoots out there. It's kind of cool. I'm kind of glad that they finally Changed a few things. Unfortunately, they did make Barrage look a lot better, but you know it's pretty much garbage now. So a little too late on that one, I guess. But yeah, if you get used to the way multi-shot looks now, you'll get used to it pretty quickly. So another thing I wanted to discuss would be Nighthold. Since technically, you know, Tomb of Sargeras is not here yet, we have to worry about Nighthold still. So I wanted to kind of compare numbers from 2 weeks ago till this Wednesday, and then I kind of give you my insight on each one as we go, and I'll put those numbers on the screen. So old numbers. Last week I did right around 1 million on Scorpiron, and all these are just going to be heroic numbers now. Last week I did 873, significantly lower than what I'm used to doing, and a lot of that was because I just wasn't in the hang of uh, the multi-shot yet, and I was missing a lot of targets that I normally wouldn't have missed. Let's see. So on that fight, I pretty much the thing is, with all these fights, I pretty much run with volley full time now. I know you're not supposed to because it doesn't give you, you know, you don't get any added benefit of using it. But I'm really lazy and I've not had time to farm codexes or anything like that. So I just run with it all times. Don't care. And my DPS is actually increasing on a lot of fights, and I really don't know why. I mean, obviously I'm hitting harder, and I've got a little bit better gear, but so I've been pretty lazy with rating wise. For a chromatic anomaly, 2 weeks ago 518k. This last week 759k. I don't know if I just got lucky or what, but I was hitting like a truck this week, and I'm really feeling like that extra bit of vulnerability, which I have a high amount of mastery, which increases my damage of all my focus spending abilities, which you know includes my aim shot and all that stuff that also gets bonus from using or from the vulnerability. So I don't know if all that coupled with me getting really lucky with crit or what, but I felt like I was doing a lot better this week. Still, like I said, I run with the same talents, all that stuff. The only boss I change talents on is because my guild changes or drops a big codex is Croesus. But I mean, I don't even see a huge deal on Croesus either. So you know, do with what you feel there. Triliax, I usually don't do as well on Triliax. I did 523k 2 weeks ago. And this last week I did 606k, so I did better there. I think a lot of that has to do with maybe getting a little bit higher amount of crit. My mastery is up, and I also had that extra little bit of vulnerability, which I'm feeling is helping me out quite a bit. For Tichondrius, 2 weeks ago we finally killed him for the first time on Heroic. My guild is currently 8 of 10. Almost have Ellison down. Got her to like 5%, and she ended up killing us. But Tichondrius, 1.065 million. That's the stacking method. Usually it helps a lot, especially if your group's DPS is a little bit lower, but you have a nice burst damage you can get on that Bloods. That's why you don't, especially if you have a lot of melee like we do, to where you lose a lot of DPS going from the boss to the Bloods if you keep the boss, you know, where he is and move the Bloods. So, and then this last week I did 1.62 million. My recount was actually higher than what the Warcraft logs indicated, but I was pleasantly surprised. My goal was 1 million, and I surpassed it. And I think a lot of that was to do with, uh, not only a little bit higher crit, but the extra vulnerability damage and the splash damage on the Bloods really helped. I really felt that was a big deal. In Croesus, 520k 2 weeks ago. This last week, 585k. It's definitely an improvement, and I did run with Murder of Crows on that versus Volley. So that's just a little bit extra damage I got from my vulnerability, and it really showed that time. For Star Augur, I did 569k, which my best had been 595 prior to that. I think I put that was actually in one of my videos couple weeks back. And this last week I did 631k and kept up with our mage, JB or Polly, whatever you want to call him. He's usually far and away better than me, and he usually crushes it in DPS. And I actually was up right there with him until he got his second bloodlust because of his ring. So I'm very confident that hunters are in a good spot right now. And by the way, you're going to see me get absolutely annihilated here in just a second in this video. I'm kind of watching it as I'm recording this. Let's see. But botanist, 2 weeks ago I did 633k, which is really low. Hey, look, the clicker doesn't know how to move. Dead. Haha. Botanist did 633k. I died with about 40 seconds left in the fight. So that number's kind of skewed a little bit. This last week I lived, obviously, did 792k. My goal is 800k on that fight, so I've got a little bit of work to do, but so far so good. Then let's see, on Elisand, like I said, my guild has not killed it yet. On the wipes that we got to sub 20% on her third phase, I did anywhere between 690k to 750k. Obviously, that's not killing her, so the number might go down, but it also might go up a little bit. But it's usually showing that I'm in a pretty good spot for that fight. I'm usually the top two. It's usually Polly and then myself. And then obviously I haven't got to Gul'dan yet. I've watched a lot of videos. Really excited for that fight, but you know, I'll just let that come when it gets here. So overall, I just kind of wanted to give some thoughts on Marksman Hunters for 7.2 and going forward, not only just in Nighthold, but going into Tomb of Sargeras. Overall, I feel like we're stronger because of the more vulnerability they allowed us to have, which of course every class is going to get that bonus damage, whatever it may be that they're going to give in your new talents. But I really feel like the vulnerability, especially on AoE fights, if you have the belt in particular, the belt plus what was I going to say? The belt plus the vulnerability increase is a big deal, and volley. There we go. And if you can get a lot of AoE, you're just going. No one's going to touch you for the most part, unless they're a high AoE class as well. So one thing I've been trying to do is learn to play my hunter with low haste, and by low haste I mean right around 9 to 10%. My aim shot is 1.81 second cast time, excuse me, as you'll see in my video. I've got to the point where it's not that big of an issue, and I can still get my 3 aim shots in each one of my windows. And I've got to the point where I can play that way pretty easily now, where earlier on, let's just say even a month ago when I started dropping a lot of haste, it was tough. It was tough going from like a 1.7 to a 1.81. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it messed up my timing when I played. Especially being a clicker, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I've adapted. So stats right now on my hunter, I have 29.5% crit, 10% haste, anywhere between 20 to 26% mastery, which is extremely high for what I've been seeing from people, and like 2% versatility, I believe. So that's my goal. I know my item level is still low for this part of the expansion, but I'm more worried about keeping the correct stats than I am gaining maybe 600 agility out of everything, because I feel like, especially the way our mastery works, where I may be losing some agility because I'm wearing an 865 item over an 890, for example, but I'm also losing almost 1,000 mastery, which equates to like 5% damage with all my abilities. So I feel like that far outweighs it, and I'm really a stickler on getting the correct stats. So if you're having issues with DPS, you might check your stats. Like I said, I have abnormally high mastery, so I tend to hit harder. I hit slower, but hit harder. No pun intended. Anyway, so I said earlier I do run with volley at all times because I'm extremely lazy, and other than the Croesus kill. But I feel like volley, even if you're just on a single target, it still does that 70k or whatever bonus damage, and that's something you don't have to worry about. That's pretty passive. As long as you're auto attacking, you're going to be using that. So that's something that I've not noticed a huge difference by not running with Murder of Crows. So going forward into Tomb of Sargeras, I plan on holding on to my 2-set from Nighthold, which, by the way, I only run with a 2-set from Nighthold. I don't run with a 4-set because I really feel like the way the stats are on the tier gear, it's really not worth it. And you only gain approximately like you lose 7 focus that you have to spend on each one of your aim shots because it's only 15% down from 50. So I don't really feel like that was a big deal. So I just decided to just stick with the 2-set. And I've done pretty well, and it allowed me to keep the 2-set from the Suramar mythic pluses, and that extra 3,000 crit in fights really helps, especially if you can get it to proc near the end of the fight when I already have like roughly 59% crit because of our ability after under 20%, which you guys are gonna see me wipe here because we clearly did not know what we were doing here, and I made the fight last way too long. But I promise you, we do kill it here in just a second. So I'm going to be running with my 2-set from Nighthold. I don't know which pieces they are. Whatever usually is just going to be my highest item level pieces. Then I'm going to be running with the 4-set from Tomb of Sargeras. I will put the link in the description of the video below, so you guys can see what the 4-set is. I don't remember what it is right off the top of my head, but all I know is I will be getting it. So that'll be something to look forward to. And I'm also going to keep my Convergence of Fate because I am in love with this approximate like a minute 15 cooldown on True Shot. Like, I love it to death. And that's where your bread and butter damage is. So if you look at my logs, you usually see me shoot way up when I have True Shot, especially like on Aluriel, for example. I will time it to where I get to use True Shot when there's a bunch of ads. Not only does it make my DPS look good, but it also just supercharges how quickly that stuff dies, and then that you can worry about the rest of your group just working on the boss instead of trying to kill ads. And I don't have to change the way I play to kill ads or bloods or flame or frost guys on Aluriel or anything like that. So that's better as a group overall. So I think that's about it, all I had. If you guys enjoyed this video, it's something a little bit different than I'm normally doing. Maybe you won't hear my obsessant clicking very much, so I won't get as many comments about that. Probably will, but that's alright. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of Hunters so far in 7.2. And going forward, what do you think they're going to be better than they have been? Do you think we're going to be worse? And other than that, I mean, I would just really like to hear from other hunters, because one point of view doesn't, necessarily mean I'm right, and I'm wrong a lot of times. So, other than that, if you'd like to message me in game, my hunter's name is Greeley on Zangermarsh, and you can always send me a tell in game. If I'm on, I always try to talk to people. Other than that, you can leave me a comment, like I said. And until my next video, I'll leave you here at the end where we're not so scrub and we actually kill Mephistroth. So thanks for watching, guys.